Hey friends, just a quick reminder before we get into today's episode, come join us over on our Patreon. That's where we release bonus episodes every other week, and we've already got over 20 episodes from 2023 that you can download and binge right now for as little as $3 a month. We've covered so many good books there, Haunting Adeline, Chateau, Gothicana, and so many more. That's also where we'll cover any books in a series we continue, so Serpent and Dove, High Mountain Court, Serpent and the Wings of Night. You can continue those series with us on Patreon right now. Finally, as a patron, we let you know what we're going to read every month, so you can read along with us if that's your jam. Anyway, that's all from me. On to today's episode.
Look, I had a feeling this book would end on a cliffhanger, but it was brutal getting there.
It was brutal getting there. And I think that's why I'm kind of impressed, because the book was and continues to be trash. Yeah. But I was sort of like, okay, Eva and Harlow, all right.
Yeah,
there's something here. Atlantis is still here to be found. But you had a plot.
But I can smell it now. I don't see it.
Smell it. I'm so
and I don't know if I'm close.
No,
but I can smell it.
But there's the essence of garlic milkshakes in the air.
Oh, delicious. My favorite, honestly.
Disgusting.
Welcome to Your Safe Space, the podcast your partner, friends, parents, whoever thinks is dirty. Don't have time to read books? Want to understand the jokes and the TikToks? We got you, fam. We're the Spice Traders, and we deal in spicy books. I'm Katie, and I need it to make sense.
I'm Liz, and I'm hypercritical. As always, we start every episode with 3 things. The first is a generic trigger warning. You can find specific triggers for this book in our show notes, so please check those out. Also, we do use foul language and talk a lot about sex. If you have sensitivity to any of this, please give this episode a skip.
Secondly, we talk about books. The whole book, nothing but the book, so help me goddess. If you plan to read this book and don't want something spoiled right now, don't listen to this episode.
Lastly, we acknowledge that a good book can hit you at the wrong time. The views expressed in our discussion are our opinion, and we absolutely don't want to diminish the work and the talent of the authors in our community. That said, we have some notes.
All right. Katie, please take it away. I have much to say.
All right. So welcome to part 2 of Killer Beauty by Eva Chance and Harlow King. Still such a good name. Oh, this one will be covering chapters 15 through 27. So let's get into it. So when we last left our merry band of assholes.
Murder hobos.
So when we last left our merry band of assholes, they had just gotten attacked, and Decima had tried to vamonos after helping them, but she was obviously stopped. The group knows that they must vacate the property. They know that the jig is up. Whoever it is knows where they are, and they can't really afford to dilly-dally leaving.
Also, it's riddled with dead bodies.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dead bodies there. So,
NVD.
Okay, a question about that.
Yeah.
They never talk about it. Okay. Backing up. Another one. In other, mafia style romances, they will give you, a one-line fixer that's just oh, I gotta call, Dominic or whoever my cleanup guy is.
Yeah.
It feels like all of these bodies, including the ones in the household, are just left to rot.
I kind of had that thought too, and it seems strange that this vigilante group doesn't have a Dominic, so to speak.
Right.
You can't just leave a trail of bodies.
No, because eventually it's going to lead back to you.
Right. It's one thing to leave the bodies, I guess, in the household because, you're completing a job. But when people break into your home, you need a cleanup guy. You can still vacate and not go back, but you can't just leave them there. 7 dead people here.
And look, I don't need any kind of believability. Just say, oh, and Garrison went to go call our cleanup guy.
Exactly. Done. That's all I need. I need a one-line fixer, and I will be happy. But they just leave rotting corpses throughout this city.
Right. And legitimately, at this point, I was like, okay, because they didn't clean it up, that's going to come up later and bite them in the ass. It doesn't.
It doesn't. At least not yet. It has.
Right.
No, that's a really good call out. Those are the plot holes where I'm just like, come on, guys.
I know. Like, try a little bit harder. Anyway, they don't know where to go yet, so they all pile into a car and go to a deserted parking lot, and they lock Decima in the car while they go outside to talk about what's next.
I thought that was so funny.
Stay here, sweetheart.
They like engage the child lock so she can't get out.
Okay, but child locks are only okay from the back. Like, she could crawl into the front. Like, it's fine.
I know.
Whatever.
That's another one. I'm like, I don't think that's how cars work, but all right.
No, it's not how cars work. So the dudes are talking, and Garrison, of course, is the most vocal about wanting to turn Decima over to the client. But most of the other men at this point are aligned that because she fought for them when she didn't have to and could have easily escaped, that they kind of owe her one now. So they decide to take her to some place called the Penthouse, which is their most secret, super safe place. And they have to blindfold her to do that. You're fitting.
I was a little confused by this like apartment travel montage because like,
yeah,
it's the penthouse, right? So it's the top floor of something. But they go like downstairs and into like a subway tunnel before
I think it's a garage.
Okay, she calls it a subway.
Yeah, because she's an idiot.
Okay, and like this will come up in a little bit, but you mentioned this in part 1 that she doesn't know how the internet works, and that still stands to apparently be the case.
Yes. Like, open a laptop, say find me, and it'll be like, here you are, girl. You're right here.
It's bizarre.
Okay, but my thing about like this whole apartment hopping montage is like, never have I ever read a romance like this where they spend so much time agonizing about where they're going to have a base of operations and what that could potentially mean for them. Like, and it's never a conversation. Like, I've read books where they're in similar like scenarios where they're like, oh, I don't know if I can trust this person, and they blindfold them to take them somewhere, but we don't see them talking about that. They just take them out to their estate that's like 50 acres and has an electric fence around it, and it's like, yeah, have fun.
You're right. This whole conversation, it seemed asinine in a lot of different ways because it also truly doesn't seem like they had any other option. So why was this a conversation?
Yeah, and I firmly believe that we could have learned about this conversation by talking about it later in other scenes.
Or even like on the way there. Like when she's like, why am I blindfolded? And they're like, because it's our secret base.
It's our secret treehouse.
No girls allowed.
Anyway, so they get to the apartment, and inside, once the blindfold is off, she notices a couple of weird things. The first one is that all of the windows are blurred out, but it lets light in so that she knows that they're no longer in a basement, which seems like a colossal waste of a penthouse, but whatever.
I wondered that it was like, so no one can see in? I'm like, who's seeing in this 15-story top floor? Like, what?
Okay, but also, like, just tint the windows so that you can't see in, but you can see out. Like, I want to see the skyline. Right. Also, if you're like a chaos assassin crew, like, wouldn't you want to have a clear view of, like, I don't know, if there's a helicopter buzzing your tower?
You would think. It also sounds really claustrophobic to be in a penthouse with blurred windows.
Yeah, no shit. Oh my God. So the second thing that she notices is that there are knitting needles underneath the coffee table, and that there are rose thorns painted around the windowsills. Okay, I'm sorry. If somebody painted around my windows like that, I would be very upset.
I got big, like, Farrah vibes where she just, like, was let loose with a paintbrush, and the guys are like, okay.
It's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for doing that.
Anyway, pretty soon, the 5 of them are joined by a woman, and she's introduced as their housekeeper, and her name is Steffi. Decima cottons pretty quickly to the fact that Steffi is passing along information of some kind in code to the guys, and she finds that odd, but we never come back to it, so don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Decima presses the guys to let her in on some of the information, but they kind of stonewall. They do say, however, that they are intending to go out the next day. When they do go out, Decima manages to get away because they are distracted by someone across the street who is their mark. Okay. She blends in with a group of women and follows them into a restaurant and then goes out the back door so fluidly that she is free of the men almost instantaneously. She continues through town into a taxi and takes that to a strip mall where the woman in the polka dots is waiting for her. The woman in the polka dots owns a small electronics store, and when she sees Decima, it's clear that she's afraid, but not of Decima herself. She ends up handing Decima a package that someone left for her. I think it's also worth noting that this woman's name is Scarlet, but like Decima never says, oh, hey, Scarlet. It's just like an internal thing, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Like, we get informations about like where the polka dot name came from and all of that, which I don't think was necessary.
No. Like, just have it be a code name and drive past it.
Yeah. Also, I don't have it in front of me because I plugged my phone in, but she describes this package and like the dimensions and the thickness, but then what's in the package doesn't match what she described.
No.
I was like, that's it? That's all that's in there? Because she describes it as being like the size of a small book. And I'm like, have you ever seen a book? Because what you pull out is not the size of a small book. That's like a travel map.
Yeah, like a pocket guide or something.
Yeah.
So let's get into the package. So when Decima leaves the store, she opens the package and finds a cell phone with nothing on it. She tucks it into her bra where no one will likely find it and continues on her way. Soon, she notices 3 men following her, so she ducks into a different store. And she ends up trapping these guys in the changing room and then, like, beating them up and then evades them. I have questions.
I already forgot about these guys after finishing these books. And, like, this strip mall is described as being, like, really seedy and, like, a hotspot of criminal activity. No one notices her.
No one asks a question.
No, like, there's an employee in this store that, like, directs Decima to the changing rooms. 3 men, like, swarm her and none come out.
Yeah. She even goes so far as to say, like, I didn't want to cause that big of a scene. So she, like, just incapacitates them enough so that they'll get up more quickly. And then she, like, goes and waits for them outside so she can, like, cause more of a bigger scene, I guess, and, like, attempt to get information out of them. So, but, like, I don't understand how you beating up 3 guys in a changing room is not already causing a scene.
Well, yeah, and then she goes waits by a tree in, like, the parking lot. I'm like, because no one's going to notice that.
Yeah.
When you interrogate these men in public.
But also, like, so spoilers, the 4 Chaos Crew guys were, like, watching her the whole time, right? And
I've been here
they,
the
like,
whole
see her,
time.
like, beeline out of the strip mall and, like, stand by this tree for, like, 30 minutes. Like a robot.
Like a robot.
And they're like, what the fuck is she doing?
Well, even they kind of give up and they're like, all right, let's go get her, I guess. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Here.
They're like hoping she'll do something more interesting. And they're like, okay, I don't have time for this.
Also, okay, so they're like walking in the street and they're like, is that him? And they all turn and she ducks away. But then we kind of get this implication that that was intentional to let her slip away. Fine.
Yeah.
The vibe I got, and I realized it was written that was intentional. The feeling I got was like, oh yeah, we totally meant to do that.
Yeah, no, that was definitely on purpose. I like that better.
That's just how I felt.
So, as we've mentioned, it was intentional on the guys' parts. At least that's what they say internally in their monologue.
I don't buy it.
Because they were hoping that Decima would, like, show them more about her intentions or who she is or something like that. But somehow they didn't get anything from that experiment, despite the fact that they ostensibly saw her go into the electronics store, get a package and a cell phone.
So I don't think they saw any of that, because there is a line where, like, because they basically track her because Blaze is a tech guru and can, like, face identify off of cameras. But it talks about how, like, there's some line about how he's, like, monitoring the entrances and exits, but it sounds like there were no cameras in the mall.
Oh, that's a miss.
Yeah, so I don't think they saw anything that happened in the mall, which doesn't make sense because you'd think there would be more cameras inside.
You would think that because, I mean, like, there's merchandise, you know?
Yeah, I've been in a mall before.
Also, I was a little bit confused about the layout of this place because she says very distinctly that it's a strip mall. But then, like, there's an inside and an outside of the strip mall.
And there's a food court.
Okay.
I kind of pictured, like, an outlet mall situation because those are, like, giant strip malls with food courts.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe.
Yeah, like the outlets that, like, there's, like, a corridor on like, the inside, but, like, there's clear entrances and exits.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because
I like that.
Because it being a strip mall doesn't make sense that there would be, like, we're manning the doors. I'm like, okay, but you're not, though.
What doors?
There are no doors.
Got it. The door to the microwave. What is wrong with you?
I love that so much.
So the guys are like, hey, sweetheart, we found you. Come with us, right? And so Decima, like, looks like she might try to run, but she ultimately decides to not put up a fight. And we learn later it's because going with them is the best of her shitty options that she has. She has no cash. She has no resources, nowhere to go. And so she's like, okay, I need to regroup. So I guess I'm going to go with these guys and figure it out from there.
She still thinks that they are undercover cops. Why would she not be like, there are 3 people that just tried to assault me in that mall? Stick the cops on them.
That's a great question, actually.
Like,
Also, how has she not asked for a badge yet?
she asks.
I want to see some identification.
She asks no questions. She has no questions. Even when they got to the apartment, she was like, "Do you guys live here? Like, that's weird. Is it normal if cops live together?" And they're like, "It just makes our jobs easier." And she's like, "That tracks." What? No, it fucking doesn't.
Okay, speaking of no, it fucking doesn't. That's another thing that, like, before she, like, got away from them or whatever, they were doing that thing where they had baseball caps and sunglasses on.
All of them.
All fucking 5 of them.
So
it has the same vibe to me as, like, when we were younger in a former life and we would go out and you would just see packs of like 15 dudes all dressed the same and they're just like jostling each other like, yeah, we're gonna have a good time. And it's just like, what? You're the most conspicuous thing I have ever seen in my whole entire life.
That's they're bad. They are bad at every job they have.
Yeah, like no chill. Absolutely no chill. I've read quite a number of like mafia, assassin, like modern romances. These are probably the most inept characters I have ever read about.
And it's like talking out of both sides of your mouth because we repeatedly see them make stupid decisions and be bad at this. But then Decima's like, wow, they're so powerful. And all of the guys are like, we're really good at this. Jasper. No. What's his name? Julius. Thank you. I really wanted to be Jasper. I think I said that in part 1. Julius runs our crew. Nothing would ever happen to us. But like, they're just bad. They're just terrible.
He runs a tight ship.
He runs a tight ship.
Also, okay. Also, I have like big dudes in my family, and these are described as being big dudes. Big dudes don't sit comfortably 4 in the same car. No. Unless it's like a huge ass SUV, which that car is not described as being such.
No, I pictured it as a huge ass SUV, but I don't think it is because repeatedly we're told that Decima is seated in between 2 of them in the back seat. So I think it's just like a Corolla.
A Toyota Corolla. I dead ass pictured a Toyota Corolla with like no tinted windows, like just kind of beat up, and then it presents a really hilarious like mental image of being a clown car stuffed with meat dudes and like Decima in the middle, just like squished.
Yes. And you see Blaze with his like little laptop on the dashboard.
Right, but all of them have baseball hats and sunglasses on for no reason.
The most generic of baseball hats too, that are more conspicuous somehow.
Wouldn't it be great if they were just like random baseball hats too, and one of them said like Key West, Florida, or something on it?
That would be amazing. One's like the
or like
Disney
one of them's
golf
like a
course
life is
logo.
good.
Yeah.
Yes. Amazing.
That's what I'm gonna picture instead.
Back at the ranch, Garrison and Blaze are out, and Decima is watching Talon knit. She asks him about the hobby, and he says he likes the predictability and the calming effect that it has. Plus, the knitting needles are good as a makeshift weapon should he need one. We find out that he knits scarves for his buds and donates the rest.
I thought this was funny in many ways because I've always thought that about knitting needles. Like every time I travel, I like look up if you can bring like metal needles on planes, and you can, which is ridiculous because you could easily kill someone. Maybe not easily, but like you could stab someone with them.
Oh, yeah.
But I also think it's funny that he can clearly only knit scarves, which is the easiest thing to knit.
Just knit in a straight line. It's fine.
And that's what he does.
When Garrison and Blaze come back, the four guys conference in the living space away from Decima, making it clear that she's not invited. But she watches them in the reflective surface of the tea kettle on the stove, and she spies Garrison's pin for his phone.
How? I've never seen a tea kettle with like a mirror finish.
Even if I have, a tea kettle has this kind of unique feature where it's curved. And it's really hard. I don't know if you've ever seen like, I don't know, like a curved mirror or something, but it's kind of like the same thing. It's really hard to see
What's happening.
Yeah. But somehow this bitch sees, okay. I don't believe that she's slick enough to catch like the numbers in the thing if she's not slick enough to understand how the internet works or to like pick up context clues that these guys are not cops or like anything.
I know. It doesn't make any sense. Also, I was trying to map this out in my head, like sitting at a kitchen island bar or whatever, looking at a tea kettle, and there's like a group of 4 dudes over here. We also get information that Blaze is like circling them with his weird nervous energy. Yeah. So she like loses sight every couple seconds, which sounds annoying as hell. I would make him sit his ass down.
Right.
And like, so you have, I can't see a way that Garrison could be holding his phone in that you could see the screen that dead on in a reflection.
Yeah,
unless he's like,
unless he had his phone like out to the side, like, here, this is my passcode.
Yeah, but like, why would you do that?
I know, like most people open their phones and it's like center mass in your body, and kind of like you create this like inadvertent like concave shape around your phone.
Yeah, and that's what I'm picturing. And he's a huge dude, so like, how can you see past his arms or his body to see that much of the phone?
Yeah, that's a great question. Which it might be more believable if she had convinced us by actions and by words that she's some kind of super spy, right? And she's like intelligent, like not that that's not what I wanted to say. That she's like super intelligent and super savvy and like has a lot of experience doing this kind of thing. I just don't buy it.
She has no tech savviness. Like, I'm surprised she even knew that phones had passcodes at this point.
I know, right? Anyway, she's determined to learn more about her situation by hook or by crook, and so she kind of files away this passcode for later. Later that day, Decima sees Blaze going through a door with a keypad and asks where it leads. He takes her up to the rooftop patio, because of course there's a rooftop patio. This place has high wooden walls that obscure identifying features of where they are, and also makes it pretty impossible for her to see what kind of building they're on or to escape, essentially. While they're out there, Blaze meditates while Decima looks around. Afterward, they sit together on the patio, and she asks him about the meditation. He tells her that it helps him narrow his nervous energy, and that he likes that. He then asks if there's anything that does a similar thing for Decima, anything that she does or likes just for herself. She obviously has trouble thinking of anything, but like eventually says chocolate, exercise. Oh, and a show she watched once about a spy. So Blaze like latches onto the show, like determined to find more of it so that he can like do this one act of service for her. So they go downstairs and he pulls up his laptop and he like Googles campy spy old TV show and finds the 60s version of this show called Spy Time, about a spy and her husband. Decima is incandescent and they watch an episode.
So this is where she has, again, no idea how the internet works, because she is like baffled by the fact that Blaze could figure this out. And even Blaze is like, I'm just really good at finding shit. I could do this. Like, and then he's like, oh, and I look through some like legitimate and illegitimate streaming websites. I'm like, so anyone who grew up in the 2000s, cool. You're not that good.
Awesome. Also, it's a show from the 60s. I'm sure the copyright has run out on that.
Right, you could just watch it. I did look it up. It's not a real show.
I'm not surprised.
But
was
like,
yeah, she acts like it's a miracle, and I'm like, no.
She's like, it only took you a couple of moments, and I'm like,
that's how the internet works. Wow.
I don't understand how she could do her job without having any tech savviness.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to sit there and convince me that she got to like these high profile targets without being able to hack into their security system, without being able to loop footage, without being able to like do research on them that doesn't require a book, because nobody puts like, unless you're part of like the English nobility and you go into like that book that they publish about the roster every year or whatever, like no one's writing about these billionaires in a book.
No. I don't understand who she's been killing this whole time and how she found them, even with her dossiers.
And it just seems like such a miss, because like you could brainwash her and also like teach her these things, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't need to know how to like think for yourself in order to just know how to do these
exactly
like, tasks.
It doesn't. What we're repeatedly told about her skill and her training doesn't line up with then what we're told about her missing information.
Yeah, exactly. Also, it would be a dead giveaway, because she's said that she has to interact with people on her missions, or has had to interact with people on her missions at some point. And like, girl, if you don't know how the internet works, like that's going to come out in conversation fairly quickly.
Yeah, it is. And she's never watched TV before besides like this one episode. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, so we should explain that, because she has like this very consistent internal monologue that she's on a mission. She can't waste time watching TV. Like it's a distraction, like all of that. And there's a reason that comes out later. But like never. And the one time she got this episode was she just had nothing else like to do. I'm like, that's happened one time. Right?
In your whole life, in the windowless room you live in, you always have something else to do, and you don't like books. You big dumb oaf.
So do you just sit on your bed and stare at the wall?
That's what I'm wondering. But we'll find out that maybe she just goes into stasis.
Yeah, I really would have liked for them to lean into that a little bit more. If she doesn't watch TV, if she doesn't have any other source of information, for her to be like a wealth of book knowledge, like Hermione, you know?
Yeah, that would have been good too. But we're explicitly told that she doesn't like books.
No, well, and she really presents as like kind of a jock, right? Like, she's like almost overly reliant on her physical strength and ability, and like doesn't have a lot of like street smarts or like book smarts or anything like that.
Yeah, she's not particularly wily in any way.
Yeah. I mean, for her, okay, the other thing too is for her to have learned about family structures from a book. Like then you're just sending an assassin who's supposed to be a chameleon into a world that she doesn't understand, and ergo she can't be a chameleon.
Yeah, see, none of those things line up for me, and that's why there's some big plot holes. And maybe some of those will get filled in. They won't.
I mean, maybe, but like you're never going to convince me that she was actually as good as she is purported to be at her job without knowing these things.
So maybe they just occasionally gave her field trips so that she felt like she was good at things, and really she's just bad at it.
That would be pretty hilarious. Like Feyre being good at painting.
Exactly. And they're just like, go over here, honey. And it's really just like, a mark that was planning suicide and is just like waiting for her.
Yeah. Just like, can we go now? Cool.
Great, thank you.
Anyway, later, when Decima is alone in the gym room that has become her room, she's lying on her cot in the corner, and her mind won't sit still. She's upset with herself for wasting time on the TV show, so she decides to work out and kind of blow off some of this nervous energy and shut her mind up. Talon joins her and says he heard her working out, and since the others are gone, he thought they could spar. They do, and Decima tries to get a rise out of him. And eventually it works so that he pins her to the wall and tells her to stop trying to get information out of him. The tension between them and their proximity emboldens Decima, and she kisses him. She thinks that she's made a misstep, but only for a split second, because Talon kisses her back and they make out. He moves to gentle kisses down her neck, but it reminds her of when she was raped, so she tells Talon to not be gentle. And he's like, cool, heard, chef, yes. And they continue, and he continues to be rough, but not in like a harmful way. He does excuse himself for like 30 seconds to go grab a condom, and then he fucks her on the weight rack. Immediately afterward, though, he bolts for the shower, and she's just like, cool, deuces, bye, good talk.
So the scene was steamy, and I appreciated it. The end was so weird, and the weird interlude of her trauma rearing its head, I was like, why are we still here?
I know. It definitely was good. I mean, like, so I'm not gonna lie. This is the only steamy scene we get. This is the only smut scene we get, period. Which, for a book that is billing itself as a reverse harem, I feel like it's kind of a miss. Like, I feel like you should have at least given us a taste of what it would be like with the full reverse harem.
Exactly. Or at least give me like a blowjob scene with another guy or something.
Yeah, exactly. But no, we just get this one. And to our point in part 1 about like the book covers, Julia's is on the front of this cover, not Talon. So like, does she just go through the next 4 books and just fucks one of them, but it's not the dude on the front of the book?
I'm so curious about that, because that is choices were made by these authors, if that's what happens.
Yeah, choices.
We'll get to it, but she even kisses another character who is still not Julia's, who was on the cover of the book.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
So to put a bit of a finer point on it, this scene is specific. It's raunchy. It's like fast and dirty in the gym room. Like, it's good.
I was here for it.
I just wish there was more of it.
I know. I was here for it. I was like, I feel like we've been missing these scenes in the past couple books we've read. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
We're
agreed.
back, baby.
So shortly after Talon leaves, Decima hears that phone that she picked up go off, just on vibrate. And she thanks the gods that it hadn't gone off while he was there, because that would have been awkward.
I don't understand why she left it on vibrate and not just like on silent. Is it because she doesn't know
that
how
was
phones
a
work?
choice.
And it's a conscious choice. She even says that. She's
Okay.
like, I turn it on vibrate. That way the ringtone doesn't go off. And I'm like, a vibration is a sound. Just turn it off.
Just check it every day.
And like you're
check it at
sleeping
night,
in
like-
that room.
Yeah. Choices. So what's come through is a text ostensibly from Noelle that tells Decima to respond as soon as she receives it. Decima does not respond, so she just turns the phone off, and she's unsure of what move to make yet, so she's like giving her time to think about it.
I thought this was weird timing, and like it doesn't really matter, but the text is like, hey, it's Noelle, when you get this, respond immediately. I don't understand why that text wasn't already on the phone for when she picked up the package.
I don't either. Yeah.
Like, why was there this weird delay?
I don't know. I mean, maybe that'll get to... The only thing that I could think of is like maybe she was waiting to make sure that it was in the hands of Decima. And so like she checked in with the polka dot lady, Scarlett.
Oh, yeah. I
And
didn't know that
she
it
was like,
picked
yeah,
up.
drop the package off. And so Noelle was like, cool, I can send that text now. But still, like if the phone is off, it's just going to log in. I don't know.
Yeah, or like she didn't want the polka dot lady to check the phone and see anything. Like I could, yeah, I don't know. I just thought,
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
yeah. I talked my way out of it, but I was just like, okay.
So when the other guys come home, they conference again and they tell Decima to get lost. So rather than go to her room, they let her up on the roof, and she's grateful for that change of scene. While she's up there, there's a telescope up there that we had learned previously as Garrison's, and she tries to use it to kind of get more information about where she's at. And I'm like, okay, you don't know how telescopes work either, because telescopes have the same field of vision as you do. They can just see farther. So she's like, maybe I can see buildings and stuff. And I'm like,
There's wooden walls that you can't see past. They're not x-rays.
Baby girl. So pretty.
My sister in Christ.
So she doesn't get very far because Garrison joins her and tells her to basically hands off the merchandise, right? And they end up verbally sparring. Decima makes parallels in her internal monologue to the physical sparring that she does with Talon, and inwardly she wonders what it would be like to fight with Garrison in bed. She gets up in his face, and when he's kind of at the height of his, like, ire or, like, I don't know what to call it. He's basically just annoyed at her.
Yeah.
She ends up kissing him, and he immediately kisses her back. Like, there's no hesitation like there was with Talon.
Like, hands, like, wrapped in her hair.
Oh, yeah. But after, like, a couple of beats, he pulls back quickly and tells her to never do that again. He then quickly ushers them both back downstairs. Okay, pussy.
Right? Come on, man.
So Garrison goes and sulks in his room, and we learn that Decima had used this opportunity to steal his phone. She then sits on the couch and goes through it.
Girl, go to the bathroom or something.
Go to your room.
Go anywhere else.
And there's two other dudes, and like, okay. It doesn't matter, though, because she's technologically illiterate, so all she finds is a text that says, oh, this address, 102 Freeton Avenue, is the place. Blaze says that it's the place. And I'm like, if you were going to get a phone to find information, you should at least understand how to snoop someone's fucking phone.
The other part that I really liked in here that I was hoping would go a different way is she does open the internet to see if there's, like, previous searches, and it opens up to porn. It's like,
yeah,
what Garrison had. And I thought that it was going to immediately start playing, like, porn sounds.
I did too.
I was kind of mad that it didn't.
I was kind of mad that it didn't either, because, like, she said that. I picture her going like, what? And like fumbling with the phone. And I'm like, one, how did nobody clock that? Two, how did the video not immediately start playing, just like moaning?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's all she finds. And then she slips the phone in between like the couch cushions. And like, the plan is that Garrison's going to like think he lost his phone and then find it in the couch cushions and then think nothing more about it. Fine.
Okay.
She's also determined now to find out why that address, the 102 Freeton Avenue, is important. Later that night, she lies awake on her cot and hears rustling outside her bedroom. She cracks the door and sees the guys getting all suited up and like armed or whatever, and then leaving. She clocks the code to the front door, and after waiting a while after they leave, she exits the condo as well. She finds a taxi and has him drop her off a few blocks away from 102 Freeton and walks the rest of the way. When she gets there, she finds that it's a rundown warehouse building that's seemingly empty. She goes around the back and enters silently. Inside, she sees pretty quickly a bloodbath that is all too familiar. The guys, her chaos crew, are just finishing up and Decima is reeling. She's so off-kilter that she makes noise and the men end up chasing her. When they see who it is that has happened upon the scene, Julius is shocked that she's there at all, and Talon joins him shortly. He's terror-stricken as Decima accusingly says aloud that she knows that they all killed Anna, and she bolts and easily evades them. So one of the things that she recognizes about this bloodbath is, I think we mentioned in part 1 that there was like this kind of jagged cut from somebody's collarbone like up to the opposite side of their neck. She sees one of those, and like that's one of the things that like clinches it in her mind that like, oh, these guys did the thing at the house. And I'm like, how did we get here?
when she sees like Talon or someone like physically make that cut, and I do have to say this isn't how I thought she was gonna find out
No.
that these are like the guys. We I feel like if you are Assassins for Hire, as the Chaos Crew is, you shouldn't have identifiable methods of killing people.
No. Also, at this point, if she saw it, like 2 shots center mass, done.
I know. Well, they don't think it's her, and then as soon as they realize it's her, they're like, oh, I'm gonna drop my gun. Like, they don't.
And Talon's like, oh no.
Okay.
Like on his face. And I'm like, okay, buddy.
Okay. It doesn't hurt anything to say it now, but like, I think Talon is legitimately a sociopath because he doesn't know what emotions are and is very confused by the vague discomfort he has regarding Decima.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was so weird. Like,
what is this? Like the meme, is this love? No, dude, that's just a mild emotion.
right, because he talks about how he like has watched like romantic comedies to see how people respond to emotions, and he has like this discomfort in his chest, so he like puts his hand to his chest and he's like, I don't know if that helps or not. And I'm like,
but I've seen other people do it.
and it is a mild emotion. It's like vague discomfort at the thought of having to kill Decima.
Right. And I don't know if it was intentionally to like make him seem like a sociopath that like might care for somebody, or if it was just like trying to portray him as being like not neurotypical.
Oh.
But it doesn't, it lands on sociopath more than like neuroatypical.
Yeah, it lands on sociopath for me. Like, I have never felt a feeling. What is this?
Yeah. Also, for guys that are like super good at like locking down a scene, why did you leave the door unlocked? 1. 2, are you make it seem reasonable to me that this woman can just get away from you. There are 4 of you.
And you're all holding guns and knives. Like,
shoot her in the leg. Like, well, and if you're determined not to kill her.
Right, but they don't incapacitate her. Like, they just like let her go. And I don't know why they didn't continue to pursue her, because she's on foot and she like leaves the building and they're like, oh, well, we'll have to go back to the car, I guess. Like, you have to be faster than her. Like, and you're just on like a city street. Like, 2 of you go back to the car, 2 of you pursue her. And yeah, shoot her in the leg. The other thing.
Another one.
It's weird to me that they have a code on the inside of their door to get out of their apartment. But that aside, I know that's like a one-liner to be like, oh, she'd be locked in here. We learned earlier that they have like a housekeeper that is like clearly like knows that they're assassins and shit. Why wouldn't you have this woman in the house if you're going to leave Decima alone? Why would you leave her alone?
Right. And like or leave one of you there.
Yeah. It's wild too. They're like, this code will keep her in. But there must be stuff in your house that you don't want her like going. Like, just why would you leave her completely unsupervised?
Yeah. She's sleeping. It'll be fine. No,
girl. No.
Yeah. No. So that's why like her being a deadly assassin and them being like really highly trained mercenaries just doesn't, that dog don't hunt with me.
No. The fact that none of them shoot her in the leg, incapacitate her, nothing. They just see her and they're shocked and like let her run away.
Oh no.
She's caught
30
us.
seconds later. We should go after her.
Right. And even Julius is like, let me explain. And she's like, see ya. And he's like, all right.
Yeah.
What?
Meow. So Decima runs, and she eventually gets to a suburban neighborhood. And she ends up hunkering down in a shed in someone's backyard, miles away. She takes out the phone and she texts back to the first message. She says, "How do I know it's you?" The person on the other end tells her to meet at the Volcano Aquarium at 7 o'clock the next morning. There is no Volcano Aquarium. It's a reference to a place that Decima used to train with Noelle that only they know about. This convinces her that it's actually Noelle on the other side. This place is actually described as being really disgusting. It's a sewage pipe that's really hot next to some body of water. And I'm like, you used to train there?
I know. It's really gross. It's why is it so hot? Why is it spicy?
Why is it spicy?
Just like don't understand why it's like roasty toasty in this sewer.
Yeah.
It's gross. It's a gross place. It didn't need to be in such a gross place.
It didn't need to be in a yeah. It could just be wet and it would have the same effect.
No, but there's like legitimately shit that she falls into.
Yeah. So we cut back to the guys, and they are again all stuffed in one car, waiting in a vacant parking lot and trying to find Decima using Blaze's facial recognition technology and city cameras. They debate on what to do. They're all on edge. They know that they never got the whole story from Decima, and they're in a whole heap of shit if she decides to go to the cops or one of their rival crews. As the sun comes up, Blaze finds Decima walking into a park, and they head that way. Essentially, the gist is, like, his facial recognition software doesn't work at night. Which seems like a pretty big weakness.
The other thing that made me laugh repeatedly was they're talking about going to the cops, her potentially going to the cops. They keep saying the real cops as if we forgot that they're not cops.
I know. Yeah. We get it. You guys have never been cops. I see it. I'm here.
I don't know how she doesn't see it.
Yeah. So we go back to Decima, and she's meeting Noelle. When Noelle joins her, Noelle immediately reprimands Decima for leaving her room without permission. But Decima is confused and tries to defend herself. She's like, I didn't think I needed permission because everybody was dead. Also, Anna gave me permission.
Right.
And Noelle's like, fuck that bitch. Like, you didn't have permission. You should have stayed where you were. Decima is surprised at her demeanor and seeming lack of concern about what happened to everybody else in the house. She asks what's going on, but Noelle doesn't have the patience to tell her. So she says garlic milkshake, and it's a coded word that makes Decima's free will shut down. Like, we see this from Decima's perspective, and literally she has thoughts that she doesn't want to do these things, but her body is not obeying her mind.
It's bonkers. It's like some Jason Bourne shit.
It's some Jason Bourne shit, yeah. Noelle orders Decima to follow her, and Decima's feet move of their own accord. As she sees, like, her freedom slipping away, the freedom that she's enjoyed over the past week or so, she thinks about how much she's enjoyed that freedom, this change of herself and of the circumstances of her life. This flash allows her to break free of the command and defy Noelle. Noelle then orders hidden men to go for Decima and try to subdue her.
10 of them!
Yeah, like, where were they hiding? We were in a tunnel.
I was really confused by that because I think, okay, have you ever, like, read something and your brain just superimposes words because it feels like it should make sense? So in my head, when, like, Noelle releases the men, I read it like they came out of the trees, and I was like, okay, so they left the tunnel. But they're very much still in the tunnel, and it never said trees anywhere. But that brought the question of where were 10 men hiding? And in a sewer tunnel. That's where they are.
Yeah, I got nothing. I have no idea. At the time, I was like, wait, where did they come from? And I'm still
where did they go?
Unclear.
I'm so confused. I did think for a while, and this still might be true, but once we got this, like, garlic milkshake thing and Noelle being like, you should have stayed in your house or in your room, those are your orders, that she is the one who put the hit out on everyone in the household.
I had that thought too, and we don't get confirmation on it in this book, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah, that's my theory. Like, whoever they've been talking to on the phone is a man, supposedly, but I think Noelle is somehow in charge.
Yeah, I think Noelle very much either ordered the hit or was in bed with whoever did and orchestrated it such that she could fake her death, because one of the reasons that Decima is surprised that she's alive is because she saw a woman. I don't know if we mentioned this in part 1 or not, but she saw a woman in the carnage with, like, her face beaten in, but she had the right hair and the build for Noelle, and so she just assumed that's who it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, So Decima tries to fight off these guys, but there's 10 of them and only one of her, and they're in a shit pipe. So she had grabbed a knitting needle from the penthouse, and she uses that and a couple of other makeshift weapons, but eventually she's overpowered. And part of the reason she's overpowered is because she's out of weapons, one, and also she keeps slipping on literal piles of shit.
This is another part where you can't convince me that she is the badass assassin she is, because she stabs one man with a knitting needle and immediately loses her only weapon.
I know. And then she has to like go find other ones. I'm like, pull the knitting needle out because it's got that little hook on the end. That's going to do more damage.
Exactly. Well, and like she stabs him. He's the one who pulls it out and throws it away. I'm like, why would you have released it when you stabbed him?
Yeah. Anyway. So they overpower her, and as they're dragging her away, she mourns her freedom and is like resigning herself to this new fate. But then gunshots ring out, and the other Menzies are here. The Chaos Crew Menzies.
The Menzies have arrived.
The Menzies have arrived. The four of them make quick work of the rest of the goons, and just as Decima is running after Noelle, Talon shoots and kills Noelle. Decima is furious and is basically like, what the fuck are you doing? I need her information. But Julia says that Noelle would have only lied to her and that he has something that he thinks will answer her questions. They all put their guns away, but Decima is still on the defensive. She says she has no reason to believe anything they tell her, but Blaze shows her a video they scraped off of a laptop that was in Noelle's car, and it shows Decima as a child. She's in a white room and crying and begging for her parents. Noelle and another man are there and tell her that she belongs to them now. Decima is reeling again, but asks to see more. And that's where the goddamn book ends.
Literally the last line of the book is her saying, I need to see more.
Yeah.
And the scream I screamed.
The scream I screamed. And look, I knew this was coming. Like, books like this do this. Like, it's a very valid strategy to get people to read the second book. I get it. But it's real fucking annoying.
It's real fucking annoying. Like, I get it. It's going to be effective. I am going to read the next book because I have very many questions. Who was she kidnapped from? Why? Also, in this video, she's described as being a toddler. Like,
yeah,
4, right? And there's a dude, like, training her to fight already.
I know. Yeah.
With her, like, tiny little fists.
Yeah.
I have so many questions. And I do want, like, okay. I know we're getting into ratings to talk about this, but it is a testament in some way to this book that I do want to understand more.
Yeah.
Because as we've said, it's not great, but I'm intrigued. I'm here. I'm here for the next one,
it's not great, but like you said in our debrief, I didn't see the fact that Noelle was alive coming at all. I thought somebody was trying to catfish her with those texts.
Me too. I was like, there's no way that's Noelle. I'm like, that's whoever's looking for her. Like, and I didn't see Noelle being such a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, because Decima says that Noelle was always kind of rigid and like strict, but I mean, she's a straight up cold stone bitch in the end of this.
Yeah. Like, she doesn't care at all. Like, she's not even relieved that Decima's alive, really. Like, she's just mad that she left her hidey hole.
Yeah, she's annoyed, which makes sense if she was part of the plan to like have this whole thing happen.
Yeah, which makes me really curious about Anna's role in everything. Like, because Anna freed her, so like, how much did Anna know? Like, did Anna know that she was supposed to stay there for some other reason?
Yeah, I don't think Anna knew anything, because it's clear that Noelle was like, fuck her. Like, she didn't have authority, like, blah, blah.
She was
I
just
think it's very clear that she wanted to kill everybody in the household, and then she was going to go get Decima for herself and be like, it's time to go.
Exactly. But does make me interested in Anna being like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go free her.
Yeah. And I want to know why Noelle, because like, if Noelle is already working for bad dudes, right? Because that's part of the whole thing is like, Decima thinks that she's working for the powers of good, but it becomes increasingly likely that that's not the case.
Yeah.
So if she was already working for like a criminal body, like, what are you going to go to like the next highest bidder? Like, what's the goal?
Exactly. Well, and that is some information we get about the Chaos Crew, which like, yeah, okay. That whenever they get a job, they like do their due diligence to make sure that they're actually ridding the world of like bad people. Like, they're vigilantes, which like, I didn't need that. But
The eyes I rolled. Holy shit. I was like, okay, guys.
I know. Also, the most recent household that they just massacred, it was just like a drug ring, which, like, drugs are bad. Don't do drugs, kids. But it's awfully vicious to take down a drug ring like that.
It is. Well, and, okay, we don't actually get any information. So, like, the drug ring that they massacred, we weren't super clear on this, was ostensibly responsible for the attack on their other place. But, like, we don't get information in this book on, like, why. Or, like, that's what I inferred. Like, we never get, like, we don't get yes, these are the guys, blah, blah. But, like, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Because they did the 102 Freeman, like, that's the right place.
Yeah.
That's what I inferred. I connected those dots. I don't know if that's correct. But, like, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. Why does a drug ring, why would a drug ring, like, attack them?
I don't know.
If they weren't, like, I don't know.
Well,
I have so many questions.
I had questions about that too. And then, like, on the flip side, say the drug ring wasn't responsible for their attack, but was just, like, their next job. Why would you hire mercenaries? Why not just, like, report them to the police?
Right. Report them to the cops unless you two are a rival drug gang.
Exactly.
But, okay, I'm going to circle back to my point because I remember what I was going to say. When they originally were attacked, their hypothesis that they told to us was that it was a rival ring hired by the client that pulled out the household job because they were upset that these guys fucked up, quote unquote.
Okay, I forgot.
So I was thinking, like, these guys that they went and finished off were, like, a rival gang. But then they were like, oh, there's drugs everywhere. I'm like, so are they drug dealers or are they?
Or do they just really like drugs?
They're the drug crew, but they also do assassins, like, on the side.
I don't. That's one of the holes that I don't think will ever be filled in. I think that was just to move the plot forward of Decima realizing.
Yeah, and look, it's not an important hole to fill. I get it.
No,
there are way more interesting holes I would rather see filled in book 2, but and yes, that is a double entendre.
I missed it.
Okay. Anyway, let's get into ratings.
This one's hard, actually.
Liz, walk us through spice level. What'd we say?
All right, we both agreed and rated spice level a 3. The scene we get is really good, and it does give me hope for future books of good scenes. But for the cover of this book, for it being a reverse harem, it just, like, it didn't hit what I expected it to. The scene hit. The scene was great. I have no complaints about the scene, but I wanted more. At least a connection. Like, even if we didn't get the full reverse harem experience yet, at least a connection with another person. And I'm not counting that kiss with Garrison because that was some bullshit. It just didn't quite live up to the promise of the trash that I wanted because I needed there to be more. There was far more plot, and I use that word loosely, than I needed in this book.
Yeah. I needed less plot and more smut.
Yeah, because I'm not here for the plot, and you gave me a lot of it. And we'll get into those downfalls, but I needed more.
Yeah. Okay, so moving into writing style, we rated that a 3. And I think that there's 2 main issues here because it's not like this book had, like, grammatical errors or used words incorrectly or was formatted wrong. For me, it came down to editing and voice. So for editing, like, I just feel like this book could have been shorter and far more succinct if you edited out some of the scenes. Like, going to see the contacts twice, like having her be alone in the apartment more than once, like going to the place, being in a car. Like, there's just so many scenes that you could have cut and then talked about like they happened in the past. Like, I just think that could have been a little tightened up.
Yeah, agreed.
And then moving into voice, I think we most specifically called this out at the beginning of part 1 when we started reading and we didn't know if Decima was a man or a woman.
Yeah.
And I think that's because, like, even though this book is told from the first person perspective of multiple people, they all sound the same.
Okay, yeah. I love a multiple point of view, but with the exception of when any of the four guys were talking, I couldn't tell you who was talking.
Because they all sounded exactly alike.
Exactly. Like, the only time there was a slight difference is when Talon is a sociopath at the end.
Right. But that's not even from, like, a stylistic perspective. That's just the content of what he's talking about.
Exactly. But stylistically, there's no difference in voice at all.
And I'm not sure if this will make it into part 1, but in our debrief for that episode, we did talk about how I don't understand why there are two authors. Like, and that's not to say, like, you don't need two authors. Like, I'm sure both of them contributed to this book. I just don't know how they contributed to this book because there isn't that clear break stylistically. Like, I can't tell if, you know, Eva Chance wrote Decima and Harlow King wrote The Dudes, or like some combination therein. It just all sounds the same.
Yeah, which is interesting. When I see multiple authors on a book, I expect there to be distinct voices.
Yeah, distinct styles.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a miss for me, but we rated it a 3. So, you know, not good, not bad, very middling.
Yeah.
So moving into quality of storytelling, how do we rate that list?
This is where things go a little bit more off the rails. We both rated this a 2. There are so many plot holes. What we're repeatedly told about these characters and then what we're shown just don't line up. There's just so many things in the storytelling that don't make any goddamn sense. And
not a lick of sense.
And like they're big misses. Like, there are a lot of plot holes that we can overlook, and some that we have said that like don't matter, but some of these matter. Like, Decima's entire persona doesn't make sense.
No.
And that's a problem when you create a character that her whole upbringing is ostensibly at least the next book, if not all the following books, but she doesn't make sense as a person.
Right. Which opens the door of like, okay, well, if you don't know about these things that seem fairly obvious and crucial to your line of work, what else don't you know about? Like, are you unaware of poisons? Like, what is it? Where's the line then?
Yes. Oh, crap. Okay, something that I meant to say when we had the sex scene. I'm so confused as to if she has had sex with anyone other than the person who raped her.
Oh, yeah. I don't think she has.
I don't like that.
No, I don't like that
either. But that also doesn't make sense because you gave her this backstory of assault that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I don't know. I have questions. Did that happen on a job or did that happen in the household? Because they wanted her to like have had sex.
I don't know, because that matters. But if it was on a job, was it like a weird one night stand? But if so, we get all this information about how like she doesn't have time for distraction. So did she like hook up with a mark? Like,
right.
And if it happened in the household, like, that's traumatic. But it's this whole like false romance because somehow that's what triggers her, is like sweetness, which also doesn't make sense to me because you can't convince me that a character who has this history of assault and this trauma then and I get that she stole the phone, but then puts herself in the position to kiss someone who ostensibly hates her and could hurt her.
Right. Or ostensibly puts herself in a position where she could be assaulted in a same way by 4 dudes again.
Yeah, but she's not afraid of that at all. And that doesn't track for me.
No, it doesn't, especially because she knows. Okay, that's the other thing that we didn't really talk about, but it falls into quality of storytelling, speaking of things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
She was drugged twice by these guys. And both times she was like, maybe I was drugged, maybe it was the concussion. I'm like, that doesn't fucking make sense. You should know, because you're a spy, what the difference is. And you felt that pinch in your back and you drank that hot chocolate. So like, I need you to be a little bit more logical and shrewd.
Yeah, I just need her to be shrewd is such a good word for it, because she also is a trained fighter. So she must have had concussions before. So you must know the difference.
Right. You should know your body well enough to understand. Like, I know that she went through a lot. She had that terrible car accident. That's fine. But she's been beat up before.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
She was ostensibly well rested and well fed before that one incident. So like, Really? That's okay.
Yeah, the shrewd is such a good word. She just needs to be, I just don't buy her as being a professional assassin that now we know has been raised to be an assassin since she was 4.
Right. And it feels like we're ganging up on Decima here, but it goes both ways. I don't believe that these guys are like a trained elite pack of assassins because they walk around in baseball caps and like aviator sunglasses and pile into a Toyota Corolla every chance they get.
And leave suspicious humans alone in their number 1 safe home.
And they make rookie mistakes like fogging out the windows of the penthouse of the tallest building around. That's a huge advantage.
It's a huge advantage. It just, yeah, I don't buy the backstory of any of these. Like, some of this is hard from an author perspective because it's hard to write things that you don't know, right? That's why they tell you to like write what you know, which would be boring. So I get it. I don't think that either of these authors are assassins. But just like give a little bit more thought to the characters you're creating to make it make more sense.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's one thing to add fatal flaws and like interest and intrigue within characters. This is just none of them know what they're doing. It's like they're all just play acting.
Yes, play acting is a good way to put it.
And it makes for a jarring reading experience.
Yeah, super that. But okay, so all that being said, do we recommend this book?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not good. Had a great time.
And we're going to read the next one because I want to know.
Yeah, I need to know. Like, I immediately started reading book 2, and then I paused on it because I realized what we have coming up next. But, like, I'm here for it. I have questions, and I want to see the reverse harem promise made good.
Exactly. So, like, we're here for at least book 2, if not the series. Right. It is fun. It's a super fast read, which is so satisfying.
Yeah.
But it's
super fast.
It's kind of one of those, like, do you recommend it? Yes. ...
But I'm going to tell you, it's not good. It's just a fun time.
Exactly. But, like, it's not going to win any prizes or anything.
No, definitely not. All right, fam. We did it. Those are our thoughts on Killer Beauty by Eva Chance and Harlow King. Thank you, as always, for joining us on this journey. What did you think? You can find us on the socials and let us know. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Goodreads at Spice Traders Pod. And if you like our podcast and want more content, please consider joining our Patreon, where we release Patreon exclusive episodes on our off weeks. And if you really, really like us, drop us a review wherever you listen. Until next time, we'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.